Well, it's Saturday morning and life is a bit hectic here. Bob is building garden furniture in the garden, ready for the wet bank holiday weekend. Alan and his mate are plastering the ceiling in the on the landing and the hole in the wall. So he's in and out with water. We're waiting for a call from the doctor, which Bob's been waiting for results since the 27th of February. And this morning is the morning that they're going to ring us at 10 o'clock. So I'm ready to go out, but can't go yet. So I thought, I know, I'll record a recipe. Here I am. We're going to make apple tansy. This is really, notice I have the window as I was shown, to make yourself look good on a Zoom recording, lose 2 stone, but have a window, the light in front of you. And I do actually look quite good, apart from the hair. And it's because the sun isn't directly on the window. Last time I tried to do it, I nearly blinded myself. But in the morning, the sun's down the bottom of the garden. So apple tansy is really a super recipe for if you have a glut of apples and in the autumn. And I know it's not the autumn, I know it's the spring, but we like apples. And I often have a load in my freezer. In fact, I've got some in my freezer, but I didn't cook them like this. And if you cook them like what I'm going to show you, you can then freeze them and you've got it ready for apple tansy in the winter when it's when you think, oh, what can we have for pudding? So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to move my cameras. I've got 2 cameras, all on my own as well. I mean, this is so impressive. Oh, wrong camera. Right, correct camera. Now, to cook the apples, it says in the recipe, cook them with butter, 2 ounces of unsalted butter, like so. And it says cook them with 2 tablespoons of water. But you know better than that, don't we, girls? We are going to cook our apples in our microwave. And if you cook apples, particularly brownies, these are brownie apples, obviously, in a microwave, you don't need any water at all. They cook to a fluff, which is wonderful. You don't need to whiz them through a processor or anything because they'll cook down to fluff, which is just what you want for this recipe. So you're going to peel your apples, core them, and just chop them into a bowl with your 2 ounces of unsalted butter. If you want to do them in a saucepan, you do need to put a bit of water in, 2 tablespoons of water. But I think microwave is much better because then you definitely don't need any water. And you don't have to stand and faff about them. You just leave them to cook while you make your husband a cup of tea, in my case, because he's working hard. And it's actually really cold out there, which we knew it would be because we ordered garden furniture. What else would happen? But the temperature will plummet. Rain is forecast this afternoon. But we've got these wondrous cushions that we haven't bought wicker rattan furniture because although they say it's weatherproof and everyone says, oh yes, we've got it, it's wonderful. I was a bit of a pessimist and he said, oh, I don't know, I don't think it will last. So we've got proper metal furniture and we've got cushions that apparently are weatherproof and within a very short while of being wet, we'll be able to sit on them again. So that's really fun. And they are, apparently they're weatherproof. But they came in polythene bags, which we've kept just in case we're packing away in the winter in their polythene bags because that's the sort of chaps we are. We like packing things away carefully. Right, there we are. So there's my, now a pound of cooking apples is 2 big brownie apples. 0.5 of a kilo I got from Sainsbury's, and lo, it was exactly 1 pound of apples. While I'm on this camera, you won't see Alan tiptoeing in and out with his buckets of water, but no doubt later on you'll see him, I'm sure, at some point. All adds to the fun of my videos, doesn't it, really? It's interesting, of course, because I'm doing this not knowing quite when you're going to see it. So by the time you watch this, bank holiday will be a forgotten, well, I was going to say dream, but maybe nightmare. And I'm sure that by the time you watch this, it'll be nice and warm. We'll be sitting out in the garden. You know, summer dresses, let's hope. Right. So you see, a pound of apples is, I mean, you can obviously make this in a bigger quantity. You make as much or as little as you want, but once you've got to this stage and cooked it with butter, you can, give this a rinse. It's on the floor. Let's give that a rinse. So once you've done this, I'll rinse that without getting water on the computer, which is fun because the computer's on the over the sink. My new recording platform. Right, so those are just going into the microwave with a lid on, and I'm going to turn you off because you won't want to hear it. You'll notice I haven't turned you off in time-honoured fashion. Yes, I've got my 1 ounce of white breadcrumbs. I just took a slice of, well, I took a crust actually of one of my homemade loaves, and I just did them on a grater. You can do them in a food processor or whatever, but I really couldn't, for 1 ounce of breadcrumbs, I couldn't be bothered to get a food processor out. So just on my box grater, I just got the crust, so I didn't lose too many fingers in the making of these breadcrumbs. I've got 1 ounce of white breadcrumbs now. Okay, so while that's cooking, you could grate your breadcrumbs if you haven't already done it, and you can separate your eggs, and we'll be back after these messages from our sponsor. Okay, these apples have been cooking for 10 minutes. And you can see they are completely soft. You see that, completely soft. And if I beat them up, they'll go, they're just flat, and there's lots of butter in them as well. So I'm going to beat in 2 ounces of caster sugar and 2 egg yolks, which I haven't separated yet. I'm going to do that right this minute. I know I've told you before, but don't forget to make sure that whatever you're putting your egg yolks in, whites in, is completely and utterly free of any grease whatsoever. This bowl has just come out of the dishwasher. My new dishwasher, oh, so excited. So I know that it's going to be okay. I normally do these one at a time in another bowl and then tip the whites in case I break the yolk. I'm being very brave today. I'm doing it just like this. There we go. So there's my egg whites over there for later. Here's my sticky hands, which I can't get to the sink to wash. My egg whitey hands, and here's my mixer. So I'm going to whisk those up. Now I'm going to, instead of doing this as I would if you weren't watching me, now, if I was just doing this myself, all by myself, I would now put this back in the microwave. But because you're watching and I want you to see what's what, I'm going to put this on a hob. So I'm just going to change cameras. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to switch to the recorder. Switch the video off, silly fool. Oh, there we are, another camera. Cameras every blooming where. So I'm going to put this into a saucepan just so you can see it. Because lifting it in and out of the microwave isn't wonderful. This way you'll get to see it. And we have a wooden spoon. I'm sure you know which variety it is, and without me telling you. So you turn it, it says back to the heat. So as I say, I would normally pop it in the microwave, but I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to add my fresh white breadcrumbs. I'm going to stir it until it starts to thicken. Now, if you do it in the microwave, you just need to do a minute at a time, as I told you before. I don't have to keep telling you, I know, but a minute at a time, because you can put it back in. So it doesn't matter if it's not done, you just pop it back in. And it will just start to thicken, well, not hugely, but it will start to thicken. And apple cooked in butter. Taste. Delicious. Apple is not, for some reason, not my favourite fruit. I really don't like apple pie at all. I'm not ever so keen on apple crumble, like it with blackberries in and raspberries and other things. But apple tansy I love, because it's just a bit different. Now, I hope you can see that it's thickening slightly because it's not going straight back into its, it's not covering the bottom of the pan straight away when you stir it. And you can feel it. I mean, obviously you can't see it very well, but you can see, I hope, that it's starting to get thicker, barely moving now when I move it along. So I think that's probably enough. And there it is. And you need that to get cold because you're going to beat in, you're going to whisk up 2 egg whites, you're going to whisk up some cream, and then you're going to fold those into it. So 1 little pound of apples, just 2 Brownlee apples, has made, I don't know why I'm not looking at you. Why am I not looking at you? That makes much more sense. So 2 Brownlee apples is all it took, and it makes quite a nice pudding. By the time you've added egg whites and cream, there's quite a lot of it. It doesn't, you think 2 apples, oh, that's not very much, but it is, trust me, it will be fine. So I'm going to put that, it's really quite a bit thicker. And of course, when it gets cold, it will thicken even more. So I'm going to put that outside because it's blooming freezing out there. I'm going to put it outside with the lid on so it gets cold. And put you on hold while we wait for it to get cold and do the rest. Do forgive me for saying things twice, thrice, a million times, but I have got people joining all the time and saying, oh, where can I find your videos? And Bob's told me about them and can I have a look at them? So there are people who haven't heard all this many times before, but just remember when you're whisking egg whites, no fat anywhere at all. Any spot of grease and they won't whisk. If they are very fresh, they won't whisk. So if you've just got them from the lady over the road who said, oh, my hen just laid them this morning, they will not whisk into meringue. So that's to be remembered. And the other thing to remember, well, it's part of that thing is, oh, I don't mean, I keep doing that instead of doing this. Why am I in knit? Right, the other thing to remember is when you're doing cream and egg whites, the easiest thing to do is to have 1 set of beaters on your mixer, even if you have more than 1 set, which I do, but 1 set of beaters, whisk the egg whites first and then whisk the cream, because as long as you do the egg whites first, there's no fat involved, and then you can do the cream and all is well. I'm going to do the egg whites first, because that's what I told you to do. not into the cream. Now the cream is another matter. If you're using yogurt, you don't have to whip it, obviously, because yogurt doesn't go thicker. And it's thick. Natural yogurt would be lovely in this, or even vanilla flavoured yogurt might be nice. What's the one? The Onken yogurts. They do a big tub of vanilla, which is gorgeous. It's got vanilla seeds in it, so that might be nice. Don't know. I haven't thought of that till this minute. So when you're whipping your cream, this is not, I meant to say, a very sweet recipe, because if you notice, we've used 2 ounces of sugar. The butter has added richness. Unsalted butter has added richness to the flavour. But normally, if you were whipping 2 egg whites like that, excuse me, folks. Hello. Hi, Daniel. I thought so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's just what I thought. Yeah, no worries. Okay, that's fine. We'll do it. No, I don't want you to. Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye. Thank you, and you. Bye. Sorry about that. The new worktop is coming on Wednesday. And I said, do I have to empty all my cupboards? And he said, oh, no, I don't think so. I'll ring you back. He rang back. He said, empty all your cupboards. There could be little chips and bits, and we don't want anything broken. And we don't, do we? So back to where I was. I would normally, if you're making meringue something, lemon meringue pie, for instance, you would put 4 ounces of, at least 3 ounces, probably 4 of caster sugar in that egg white. We haven't put any in. We've only used 2 ounces of sugar throughout, because the cream makes it rich, the butter makes it rich. You don't need anything else. So it is only 2 ounces of sugar. So even those of you who shouldn't eat sugar, don't eat sugar, you would only be having an amount of this, and I don't think it's really too bad. A bit like the blackberry and apple cake. If you put 75 grams of sugar in a cake and then have a slice, you're really not going to eat a lot of sugar. Right, so I'm now going to whisk the cream. Cream is tricky in that it goes from being, oh, I don't think this is done, to, oh, it's too much. You don't want this very, very thick, because you're folding it in. If you made it thick enough to pipe, for instance, it would be too thick, or thick enough to sandwich these meringues, which we're not making together. It would be too thick. You want it thick, because this is just liquid at the moment, like milk. You want it thick, but holding its shape, but not very thick. I will attempt to show you what I mean. Use a slow speed on your whisk for that very see, this is just starting to hold its shape. As if you can see the lines of my whisk in this when I do that. So it needs a little bit more, but not very much. So just be careful. Sound very patronizing, but if you're not very used to doing this, it's the kind of feel of it. You can see now that's just starting to hold its shape, and that's enough. That's enough. Stop there. Pour your cream off, including some on your paper, if you're like me and haven't got an apron on. What would my mother have said to me? Right. Noticing it's 10:30 and the doctor hasn't rung, 10 o'clock as stated, and that's the only reason I'm still here is so that I can be here and be supportive if the news is not what it to be. So that's a bit of a bore. Right, so there we are. We have our cream and our egg whites, and hopefully a cold saucepan full of apple. What I should have done, incredibly intelligent of me, would be to tipped it out into a bowl, because that would have got cooler quicker, wouldn't it? But hey ho. What are nice for these are little Sunday dishes of some sort. I'm going to have to get a step ladder to get those down to the top there. You can decorate them with chocolate sprinkles. You can decorate them with chocolate curls. You can slice apple, dip it in lemon juice so it doesn't go brown, dip it immediately in lemon juice so it doesn't go brown, put a slice of apple on it just to prove what it is. All sorts of things. And you can, of course, serve it with our lovely shortbread biscuits, which you won't have forgotten about, and I'm sure are making on a regular basis. So I'm going to get my apple now. Right, I've tipped it back into a bowl. It's cold. And I'm going to fold in the cream and the meringue. Now, folding, as I have stated before, is all about not knocking air out of the mixture, the air that you've created in your mixture. So to fold in, you don't use a wooden spoon. You can use a spatula. I usually use a metal spoon, because a spatula would be just as good, actually. You want that thin edge. You don't want the clumping of a wooden spoon knocking loads of air out of your mixture when you've just spent all that time beating it in. This used to be much more important when you'd broken your arm using an old-fashioned egg whisk. You don't have that problem with a modern whisk. So you fold in your cream, first of all, till it's fully incorporated. And you do a sort of figure of 8 to make sure you get off all your bits. Make sure you get all the apple off the bottom. You haven't got any lumps of cream, or indeed lumps of apple. You want a nice smooth mixture. It's so yummy. It's really one of my favourite foods. As you know, quite a lot of these are my favourites, which is why I am the size I am. So the meringue, as before, if you put just a bit in at a time, it's much easier to incorporate than incorporate a whole load at once. It's quite difficult to do, so always do it. Either do a spoonful to break up your mixture if it needs breaking up, or in this case, I just do half and then the other half. So that's, the meringue tends to be, you get lumps of meringue, which is not what you want. So you need to be quite careful about stirring it all through. And then we'll get the rest of it in, every little bit in. Now the shops are open, I must go back to, I think I got this spatula in Abraxas in Heart of the Shires. I love that shop, and it's just a very expensive day out for me because I always find things I couldn't possibly do without in there. Right. I mean, I know there's a shop in Northampton as well, but why would you go to Northampton if you didn't have to? I go to Heart of the Shires, and then I can meet a friend and we can have lunch, and there's a nice dress shop, and what's not to like, girls, really? There we are. So this is my apple tansy. Now I've got lots of selection of bowls because I did have little Sunday dishes which I can't find, and I've got a horrible feeling I've got rid of them. It's not a vast amount. Now I've got these little glasses which are quite nice. I've got these Sunday dishes, but they're quite big. A glass would be lovely. You know, wine glass would be lovely. But anyway, I'm going to show you. So this makes 4 probably. So let's see what 4 looks like in my Sunday dishes, shall we? You can choose what you put it in, obviously. So I'm going to put some in each of 4 dishes. As I say, if you don't want to do this until apples come into season, that's absolutely fine, but you've got the recipe up your sleeve now. And when apples do come into season, you can do the bit up to cooking the apple with the butter and then pop it in the freezer. Put that mixture in the freezer. And then whenever you want to, you can get it out, reheat it. Something in there. Hold on a minute. I'll just wipe that as well. Then you can get it out and still something. Oh, it's on the other side. You can get it out, add the rest of the ingredients, warm it up, you know, defrost it thoroughly, add the rest of the ingredients and carry on from that point, and it works perfectly well. And as I say, if you get loads and loads of apples, it's quite nice to cook some of them with the butter in, because then you've actually got, you're ready. I have got another couple of recipes where you cook it with butter, and it is nice. Apple charlotte cooked with, where you cook the apples with butter and layer it with breadcrumbs. It's delicious. And there we are. There is my apple tansy in my pretty bowls. How am I going to eat this? He doesn't know it yet. Actually, we're going out for supper with friends. We're having an Indian takeaway, so I might take these to have bradpud, because it's quite light. Although it's a rich flavour, but it's quite light. And as I said before, soda, not very much sugar. So if you can't eat sugar, you're really not eating a lot. And it's delicious. So now, just to finish it, I have a little bit of dark chocolate. I have a grater, and I'm not afraid to use it. I'm going to grate chocolate over them. You can do this with a grater, or indeed, you can do it with a grater, or you can do it with a potato peeler. I'm sure I was telling you lots of things you know, and I'm sure you're all at home saying, who does she think she is? We know all this, but there we are. You can do it with a potato peeler and get nice little bits of chocolate all over your apple. Like that. Oh, it just makes it look a bit pretty. And actually, potato peeler is easier to wash than a grater. So let's go potato peeler, yes? Oh, just peeled my finger. It wasn't good. There we are.
The cuppa now then.
Oh, Bob wants a cup of tea apparently. Not supposed to be in the recording. Okay, he's allowed. He's allowed. Okie dokie. So there we have 4 apple tansies ready for me to take out for supper tonight. You can do a big bowl, obviously. Oh, I've got chocolate on the computer. You can do a big bowl. You can put it in a big bowl, but I just think it's pretty. And normally I would be doing this because I've got people coming for supper, and I would normally have 2 desserts. So it's quite handy to have, would you like this? And they just take one. And it's, if nobody else has one, you haven't broken into the bowl of apple tansy. I sound really mean, don't I? But I like it like this. So apple tansy. Please make some and see what you think and enjoy. I better go and make the tea now.